Okay, where that?
Fine.
Brace elbow. Good fight. Yeah, they want to get this. It's staples. How are you doing with physio? Okay, that's me. Brace, yes. So it's this one, are you not using it? All the time. Absolutely can. No strength. Oh, no. That would be great. I have to get more. This is not straight. Hey, how are you?
Very
Good. It's what? Funny, not fun. It's funny.
Lots to be done. Hot link. It's better than, right? But
Okay. 7 minutes. And for the agenda. Or is that?
oh, well, yeah, but you gave it to me,
Oh,
but yeah,
okay,
that's totally,
that's the plan.
that's for us.
Perfect. Well, then, well, please.
It's probably hurts.
Oh, there's staples and stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you grab my phone? I did. You guys have one?
I do the loop.
I just have the two.
Oh, then, that's one, yeah.
Thanks.
Here we go. I'll just toss some there.
Mhm.
Really more crazy minus the silver.
Nothing crazy, but lots of exploring and stuff like that.
Yeah, we were.
We just did, my girlfriend went exploring from Hiawatha and ended up in Silver Creek Golf Course.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah,
Right. That's pretty
there's, lose 10K, so not super far, like, oh, it's,
What are those days?
yeah, we like to. do
I
that.
it's just spares too. Yeah.
That's what-
No, it's like,
Or we touring.
I just started a walking and hiking group. I did a post on Spaces. I got 46 people in 1 week.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
really,
we're going up, we're doing pancakes, just to look over
yeah,
on
That's
Saturday,
fantastic.
and then 2 weeks, then the 27th.
the agenda.
And then, which one? I just did the lawsuit a few weeks ago.
yeah,
But yeah, so you're welcome to try it.
well, we done a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Like, we just did Jim now, twice,
Hi.
up from Robertson Cliffs and then there's one from Stoneface. But we're not there, tournaments like that, we have.
I'm not, we're not like. No, there's two on Saturday, or yeah, we're not, and
You want by
and it's a 50
Pine
plus.
Street Marina.
Oh,
Howard.
oh,
What is that?
Can't do anything
It's one of the.
too crazy.
Yeah,
It's like,
well, that's where.
I thought so, I was
The
walking down
ones that
there.
are crazier, some
Right
can
here,
be-
that's here.
Okay.
For real,
That's who was
'cause
the
that's what we
communication
do.
tower. Yes, cause I
Lots of
believe they
trail.
put one down at
That's what I'm,
by the golf course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
it's all about exploration.
Yeah, all right. But it was nice, they were worked with us.
I did farm and
Marina.
a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago,
from down.
and
Very
and
nice.
I
Nice.
bought the all trail setup.
Mhm.
Remember?
Okay.
But if I didn't have it, I would have been screwed. Like, notice it.
No, it's,
But trail sound-
yeah, no, that's where it was.
Nice.
Yeah.
It sounds like it tells me that's where I am, so I can have it.
Yeah.
So the whole time we were going towards Silver Creek, we can go.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Where it became affordable,
Oh, I went.
no return, right?
Yeah.
Continue the golf course, or we went back to Hiawatha.
That's like.
Continue, just finish. Our plan was to use Beller Lake Road Bella Lake Road's not right, it's probably not even a train.
Really?
It's like bushwhack.
Well, you know what, like, I even did from Lake, for sections of, where it's just get a bike.
Yeah, yeah,
But I went off on, to follow the GPS thing, I followed, like to the Voyager, and I just, can't even, like, it's not even there.
that's,
Walk.
yeah, that trail is so proud of their trail system, that's what it makes. Isn't that sad?
It is.
I used to play on that. And it's probably, yeah.
Art, right? Yeah, well, you can't, you would never know anyone walked on it in the year if you look at that. It's just-
Oh, it's lots of fire, they have a
Like-
job.
Plug in there at 7 o'clock.
Well, it's, I mean, the tag, the tree tags.
Yeah.
It's blinds going like crazy. And it was like all summer, it's just like really absolutely. Bad in this.
Oh.
I got, I'm having.
And then we'll add it
You know, I haven't finished it, but I'm gonna try to go for it. With the old meeting, so I have to. Yeah, I also have to monitor that they talking about right now.
So. Live stream is going.
Sure. Definitely. You can, yeah, you can start it off. Okay.
All right, so welcome everybody to our first meeting in the fall for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. So today is Tuesday, September 9th. We'll begin with the land acknowledgement. So I acknowledge with respect that we are in Robinson Huron Treaty Territory. The land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, and known as Powhatan. Powhatan is the home of Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. Moving on to item number 2, adoption of minutes from our May 6, 2025 meeting. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the minutes that were presented with the agenda? Okay, seeing none, can I have a mover to adopt the minutes? Okay, Jonathan, thank you. And a seconder. Tracy, thank you. And all in favor? Adopt the minutes. Resolved that the minutes of Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee of May 6, 2025 be approved. Item number 3, declaration of pecuniary interest. Does anybody have anything to declare for the agenda? Okay, seeing nothing. We can move on to adoption of agenda. Does anybody have any comments or additions?
Yes, can
Yes.
I have, can I add something to new business?
Yes, you can. Want to give us a brief overview of what that topic
Yeah,
is,
for
like
sure.
7.5?
Yeah, there was a flash vote that was available for residents in Sault Ste. Marie to voice their opinions about Parks and Recreation. I believe it was in June that it was sent out. So I just kind of compiled some of the information because they also send you the results after. So I just thought that would be something.
Perfect. Okay, we can add that to 7.5. Hello.
Hey,
All right, any other additions to the agenda? Mover to adopt? Okay, Jonathan, seconder? Tracy, and all in favor?
We're just close.
Resolved that the agenda for Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee meeting for September 9th, 2025 as presented be approved. Now, we will now move on to item 5, business arising, and 5.1, updating financial assistance for national and international competition. So I believe some information was presented. Virginia, do you want to go over that and then we'll look at moving and adopting? Is that?
So in your package, it's the background, just for any members who haven't been involved with approving a financial assistance application before.
The application is included, as well as a completed application from a mixed curling team that has qualified to attend the 2025 Canadian Mixed Curling Championships in Assiniboine, Saskatchewan this fall. So they put in the application requesting support of $400.
Does anyone have any questions about anything for Virginia? Um. So.
Sorry, I skipped over one. I did 7.4 instead of 5.1.
That's okay,
So, yeah, so that would be related to 7.4, sorry.
that's okay. So I think this was in relation to increasing the financial
Yeah.
assistance, right?
Yeah, so it can bounce back, we'll come back to 7.4 in a minute, sorry about that. Yeah, so we were looking at is, as everybody's aware, we have the policy for competition, so right now, an individual would be $200. 2 to 6 participants qualify for 400, 7 to 15, 750, and 16 plus participants are $1,000. So those amounts have stayed at that level for well over 10 years now. Without any increases, so with escalating costs, we're generally under budget in the amount that we're allocated on an annual basis. To divide out to the individuals that will be attending these competitions, so again, they have to have qualified at a provincial championship. By their governing body in order to attend a national or international competition, so that, you know, the number of individuals going is relatively small sometimes. So we just thought that it might be time to bring forward that request, requesting the increases. And present that to council for consideration and approval, but wanted to get some thoughts from the committee and make sure that the committee was, you know, aware and if there was anything else that we should be considering prior to taking that report to council.
So what is our annual budget?
We have a budget of $5,000 annually set aside for competitions.
Okay.
So we were looking at aligning the individual up to 300, 2 to 6 participants to 600, 7 to 15 to 1150, and then 16 plus, so that would be your larger teams that would be attending to 1,500.
The package says 2 to 6 participants, 4,600. So that's obviously just a typo then.
I think that must be a dollar sign, the four is probably a dollar sign. On the last page 9 of 11,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So it just means 600 instead of 400, not.
Oh, yeah, it's faster than a dollar sign.
are we saying, cause on page 6 of 11, it's $400, and this page, the 4 is 600.
Right.
No, that's okay.
Is this going current and then you're telling us the requested increase?
I think it's just reiterated, so.
So everybody else given our. Oh, yeah, sorry, I think we are both together.
Mhm.
I think he has a typo there.
So the 4 6 or 2 to 6.
Yeah, so currently it's 4.
Okay,
So I can read those amounts again. So currently, we're 200 for individual, 400 for 2 to 6 participants, 750 for 7 to 15, and 1,000 for 16 and over. So that would be your larger teams. Looking to increase that to 300 per individual, okay? $600 for 2 to 6 participants, so an increase of $200. Okay. 7 to 15 participants would be 1,150. And 16 plus participants, we would look to go to 1,500 for a team.
okay. Any questions or comments about that? I see Paul's hand first. Is it okay if I call on Paul? So the chair calls on Paul.
Yeah, Virginia, how much do you said we were budgeted for 5,000 a year, was that correct? Is that what I heard?
Yes, that's correct. So we have an annual allocation for the sports competition, which also includes miscellaneous competitions. That prac could get applications on, so that'd be like maybe a robotics team that's qualified to go to the larger competition. They've got kind of a separate pot. Or a separate process, but it's all included in that $5,000 annual allocation.
So based on these increases and prior requests, are we still gonna stay within budget?
Yeah, so when we did the analysis, you'll see on the chart, obviously, we didn't have anybody competing in 2019 and 2020 just due to COVID. But you can see where the amounts are coming in, so they kind of range from a high of 1,550 in 2017 to 1,000 in 2024. So currently, right now, this application is the second application that you'll be receiving this year. So the first one was for $400 for the youth arts team. This is the second application to come in, so we feel that we'll be able to stay within those allocations.
Okay, one final question. If we ever had a year where the requests outstrip the budget, they would simply be turned down, or would they be special requests that go to council?
We have to look to see if there's another potential pot for the budget, but yeah, it would be outside of that, so.
Okay,
There may be funds from another pot that we could request to be transferred over, but
okay.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, ran into that scenario, in the past 15 years. It would be kind of a nice problem, which would be if there's a lot of our local teams qualifying for international and national competitions, but.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I had three questions, if that's okay. So the first one is Virginia. Since we've never spent up to the budgeted limit any other year, have we ever looked at taking the underspend every year and putting it into a reserve fund to carry forward any of those unspent amounts?
No, we haven't, that could be. Yeah, I like the idea of that, being able to put it there, but we haven't in the past.
Okay, yeah, just like 5,000 isn't like a huge number. And the other leads into the second question, which is, do we think we could partner with our comms team to like even just do like a quick, like whether it's a Facebook ad or suited a news release or something like that, even if it's not. Well, actually, back to school is kind of a good time, like for hockey teams and stuff like that, just to make folks aware that this is an option. Just because you definitely see like the cost of inflation, cost of hit sports, that would be great. So is that something we can look at too?
Yeah, we can absolutely look at working with our communications department to share the information about qualifications.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have in the past, it's probably been a little while, but we have sent out information to the different sporting clubs
oh,
that
that's perfect.
would have, like, say, the swim club is well aware that they have this opportunity for anybody that's, just competed at provincials and is now qualifying for national or international.
Cool.
So we have worked with our different organizations in the past, but yeah, that was give you a good time to roll out the opportunity again, really highlight it if it's passed through council.
Yeah, and then my last question is, so if this is coming back to council for the increase in the amounts. Would staff be willing to also look at suggesting like a delegated spending authority bylaw? So that like. I mean, it's great that the attention comes to the participants, but like it is. I mean, it's a really low amount for council to be approving the expense, like the committee should be able to recommend the approval of the application and then. And that's, there you go, spend your money, go to your tournament, you don't have to wait for a council meeting, right?
Which is like, yeah, thank you for that. We did have that discussion internally about having these two pots delegated, as well as we also have a similar pot for our cultural vitality committee for cultural competitions. Having those delegated and then looking at other ways of communication, so I did meet with Tessa and Zoe to say, instead of it going to council, is there another way that we could support, share? Or, recognize these individuals that are attending these competitions, so you know, that would be another way to communicate that
Yeah.
this is happening, if people are aware of it, but not necessarily buried in the council report.
But I just don't think it gets the visibility that I think was always intended.
Yeah.
By being on the council report, you know, like if it gets stuck on like a really hot button agenda. You're not necessarily gonna pull it from consent to be like, hey, I got questions about this $200 or.
Yeah.
Right, like,
Okay.
yeah, but like having like that communication go out, like it'd be kind of cool to see like a Facebook picture of like that person at their event or something like that. And you can do like a congratulations that way.
Yes,
That's also my questions. Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments about the agenda item? Okay, seeing none, I guess we can move to our resolution. Resolution. So just to clarify, individual will move to 300, 2 to 6 participants, 600, 7 to 15, 1150, and 16 plus 1500. Okay, so, yes. Oh, okay. Okay, sure. So Councillor Dufour moving and a second. Lou, we'll give it to Lou this time. All in favor? Okay, so resolved that the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee endorse the increase of financial assistance provided to individuals and groups to attend national and international competitions by individual $300, 2 to 6 participants $600, 7 to 15 participants $1,150, and 16 plus participants $1,500. All right, moving on to item 6, subcommittee task force updates. Virginia, I will look to you for that item.
Yeah, so right now, we don't have any subcommittees currently underway, but. Sure, there'll be something coming forward in the near future, so we do have a number of Parks and Rec items that we gotta start taking a look at in the master plan. So we'll probably be potentially pulling together some subcommittees to start moving forward with that. Yes, I guess, and then the only, oh, I'm sorry, that's a good one, so.
Any questions or comments about that? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to new business, item 7. 7.1 park development updates, and we'll also turn it over to Virginia.
So we're very excited. Wilcox Park is moving forward right now. So the Parks team has prepared the area. And we're just waiting on confirmation of the dates when they'll be arriving to actually start the installation. So we're anticipating that's going to start late September, early October. But that has yet to be finalized. So the park will be very similar to the parks at Westwood and Parkland that were just installed. So you'll see very similar equipment. The color scheme will be different and there'll be some variations in it, but you'll see the same types of equipment. So the swing set, the big O, and all of those pieces, and there'll be a combination again of rubber surfacing along with wood chip and then the paved pathways. So the team will be working on the paved pathways there as well. That's good.
Yeah, is there a plan for the ball field and the asphalt portion on the north end of the park?
Yes, so the ball field right now, we haven't looked at what we're going to do with that space quite yet. But we have been looking at pricing out some of the repairs to the tennis court area, so looking potentially at a multi-sport type court. But we're working through the costing right now with that component of it, so we do have a little bit of leftover budget. So we're trying to see what we can do with the remaining funds that we have allocated for the project.
Have we, in the master plan, does it speak to the number of tennis courts we have and their distribution, like in terms of usage and stuff like that?
The master plan does have the total allocation.
Yeah,
We have been, as courts do get turned over, so Parks has been trying to, I think they're requesting some funding so that they can start to do a resurfacing.
Yeah.
On a number of the courts, it costs about 50,000 to resurface. One set of 2 courts. And with that, they're looking at having the dual lining, so they've been continuing with lining with both pickleball and tennis. For any of the ones that once they do the resurfacing on.
Okay, cool. So no hard plan yet.
Not to add any additional ports at this time. But hoping that they'll continue to do some resurfacing. We are getting phone calls about resurfacing certain ports.
Guys hearing about pinball.
Yes, yeah.
there.
Yeah,
So
so.
that one I think gets a lot of switch.
It seems to have really picked up, so the number of calls coming to that location has increased and there has been requests coming in to do a resurfacing there, so it'll just be funding dependent.
Yeah, I seem to hear Snowden and Penhorn would get the most of the switch from folks that I talked to,
Yes.
for racket schools, I should say.
Snowden's very busy, they have kind of their own pickleball group that's
Yeah,
there, so
yeah.
the pickleball courts at Elliott are very busy, but Snowden has a dedicated group that meet there regularly.
Yeah,
So it's quite busy. So yeah, and Penhorn, like I said, is really seems to have picked up.
cool, thanks.
Any other questions or comments about this agenda item?
I think so. I hope it fits under this right thing. So, this summer I spent a lot of time at Strathclyde. And that parking lot, they've paved a new path through from Second Line. People used to park in those spaces and now they've cleared it so you can just go straight towards Field 1 and the softball and baseball fields, but I find it's really dangerous. People are not parking. Like people are parking in the spots that are not supposed to be parking. There's blind spots a lot of the time. So when you're coming from the softball fields to the soccer fields, people are parked along each end. So then you can't see, so you're edging out, but there's only room for one car to go. So that's scary. And like there's tons of kids. Like I would go at 7 o'clock and like just kids running around, parents. It was scary. And I don't think there's one stop sign or yield sign there. So it's kind of just a free-for-all, whoever decides what they want to do. And then from Black Road, from the baseball or softball field, that entrance too, their parking again is limited. So then people are parking on the grass, and then that's condensing the parking or the driveway to like one car too. So then people are coming one way, coming the other way, having to back up to let the other person go. And so it was just like really congested this year. I haven't noticed that any other years. I don't know if like maybe I've just not noticed it, but it felt like really like unsafe this year.
Yeah, I agree. And we could probably take a look around to see, like, it might be worthwhile, because I know you've been down there quite a lot with the kids, especially while they're coaching.
Yeah.
Even go through, walk through and see what your thoughts are, like, I'd be happy to go down with you and say, hey, here's where we could do some times. I do know we've had issues in the past too, especially coming off of Black Road, because sometimes it'll get narrowed down to literally one lane of traffic, or 1.5 lanes, and you can't get through. I know the staff have been trying to stay on top of that, look at ways that they can mitigate that, but it is an ongoing challenge. We run into similar challenges at Rocky D, where instead of parking in the parking lot, people want to park as close as they can, and they're shrinking that roadway coming in from Wellington into John Woods as well, so. Yeah, but I'll definitely put that on the radar, and then if you wanted to look at maybe some signage, it's not gonna hurt, because some people, there is a lot of little kids and a lot of traffic coming through there.
Yeah. I wish I had a better solution to like how to make it flow better, but just, I was like, stop signs or yields might be place to start.
No, and now's the time to start looking at that, to see what we get implemented for next year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ariana.
Any other questions or comments about 7.1 park development updates?
I'd just like to maybe add to what she said about there might be an opportunity to take a few photos or even a video of it, but so, because you go there and look at it after the fact and it's like, oh, where's the issue, right?
Yeah.
And it might help provide some context to, when the people are looking at evaluating options.
Definitely.
So I don't know if that would be something that would be favorable or not.
Yeah, photos help all the time. We're gonna have a little bit of a dip now, but yeah, anytime there's photos that have been very helpful in the past for other issues that we're trying to solve things, so.
I can do that.
Yeah, we can go through and walk through and just see what those recommendations are, because I know you spent a lot of time there. Like probably every day.
Pretty much.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, seeing none, we can move on to 7.2, City Awards Ceremony from Virginia.
So the city awards are taking place on Wednesday next week. So we'll have a couple of,
Tracy, myself and Tracy.
Yeah, are gonna be attending, representing Pratt at that award ceremony, so it takes place in the afternoon. And they'll be providing the Sports Hall of Fame Award as well as the city. Community Development Award, Community Recognition Award. And. I think that's it. So we've got, yeah, so there's a few awards that are being presented, and yeah, it's a nice opportunity to recognize our, local recipients.
Any questions or comments about that?
Oh, but we're just presenting, we didn't do much, and Tessa wrote us our script, so.
But thank you, yes, it's always nice to see and celebrate everybody, so. Any other questions, comments, 7.2? All right, moving on to 7.3, sale of park green space for residential development, and this agenda item came initially from a piece in Legal Suit today. And we just thought the committee might have some questions, so Virginia, you
Yeah, I could provide a little bit of background, so, the report that went to council, Nicole and I had an opportunity to follow up with our planning department to get a little bit more context, because I think, obviously. We got calls from Pratt, and there was a bunch of community members that had a lot of questions about the report and the article, so. This is really, they have a housing action plan that the planning was tasked with trying to roll out. So they've got, it was for 2025 to 2028, and they had a task force that was formed as part of that requirement, so they were asked to look at a number of things. One piece that they were asked to look at is, as part of this access to land, was looking at potential future opportunities related if there's a surplus in parks and recreation spaces, so that's just one component. They have to do a full analysis, so this is very, very preliminary. A full analysis needs to be done. They have evaluation criteria that they have to look at, and the process would be to. If you remember, we went through the park revitalization, we looked at walking distances, right? Having safe walking distances to park, and making sure that we have an adequate supply of parks in our neighborhoods, right? That's critical, and making sure that, you may have a 500-meter walking distance, but is there a major road like Second Line that's a barrier? So that's also taken into consideration. So those same criteria that we use for the playground revitalization, looking at the demographics and how much park space we have is still layered on there. So when I had an opportunity to talk to Steve, he said we could go through this whole process and there may be nothing that's even identified as meeting any criteria to provide this access land. Or there may be a sliver or a piece that's feasible because the park is extra large, it's not utilized as part of the park currently. So that whole process they have to go through it. Then there's a whole consultation process. So if they do identify a piece or a chunk, there's a public consultation process that's required. And, I told them, the Parks Recreation Advisory Committee, as well as our department, would be involved with that process along with the broader community. So we're very, very preliminary in even looking at that, and they haven't even started a full assessment at this point in time. And sometimes there may be pieces of land that are zoned parks and recreation because of the way that it came, and nobody could even, it's not something that's used from a parks and rec standpoint, it might be a chunk of a laneway in a piece that nobody would know that it's the Parks and Rec piece, but it had been zoned that for whatever reason, so there's a lot of work that still needs to happen.
Yeah, just to clarify, when you talked about the public consultation piece, are you referring to the normal rezoning application that would have to take place in order to rezone parks and parkland to residential land, or are you talking about a different form of public consultation?
I would, I think there's two pieces to that, right? Because I think that the way that we've done it when we've had any parks land or we've been asked by council in the past, if there was a park that saw as a proper park. That we wanted to take a piece of or do a significant change to, there would be a different public open house process. In addition to the rezoning process, because we want to be able to get a lot of that back, right? I don't necessarily know how all those steps will work out. We still have to work with planning when we get to that point, and if there is anything that's potentially identified. I'm sure there would also be some subsequent report that would be brought to council you know, just as to what that process may be. Nicole, do you have anything to add as well, just kind of on what that process, how it might take shape in the event that something is identified or recommended?
Hi, everybody. No, you captured it really well. When we talked with planning about it, the stage of potential park space is further down the line. It's one of the later phases of it. So they're working on the first pieces right now in regards to the action plan that Virginia talked about. And if something is identified, as Virginia mentioned, they will bring it to us. And then regarding any open houses and public consultation, depending on the location of it, if it was one, you know, in a neighborhood, we would have targeted open houses to ensure that everybody in that community in that area was provided the opportunity to provide their feedback. But it is so preliminary right now that we don't have any details, like Virginia said, but we will ensure to keep you all informed and part of it throughout the process when we get there.
Any questions or comments about that agenda item? Thanks, Virginia and Nicole, for the further information. It's helpful. Now 7.4 financial assistance request.
So on to what we talked about. There we go. So we did receive an application from a mixed curling team that's going to be heading off to Saskatchewan for the championship in November. So yeah, so it's very exciting for them to qualify, and they put the application in, and they'd be requesting $400 to help support their travel costs.
And I believe the application was included in the agenda package. Jonathan, did you have a question?
I was just wondering, now that we've approved the $600 amount, should we be amending this?
I think it has to go to council first, does it?
Yeah, correct, yes. So I would have to take it to council for approval. Which I don't know if I would get the time. Yeah, I get the full timelines. So this could go on the 22nd so that they would have funding for November. To go, based off of some of the feedback. You know, and just some of the suggestions we are looking at, including the delegated authority. As well, if we're looking at potentially requesting that we create a reserve fund for it. I'd have to have further discussions if I'm able to get it on the agenda for the 22nd, so that's tomorrow. Oh, okay. So, but I can get their application on, it's a little bit more straightforward.
Okay, are we okay continuing with $400 for this application and then moving forward, will there be increased amounts? That's a yes, okay.
I was just wondering, is there an option, Virginia, where you could bring the increased amounts on the 14th and then just in the agenda approve the increased amounts before approving the actual application? Would that still give them time to get the money before
Yeah,
November?
I think we could do that. Nicole, timing wise, from your standpoint, I think that could work, eh?
Yeah, so sorry, what did you say exactly?
So I was just suggesting that as a possibility, if you wanted to hit October 14th city council meeting. And then just in the format of the agenda, have council approve the increase to the policy. And then approve the first application in a subsequent agenda item on the same evening.
Okay, so the increase would be approved
Like, I think the question,
earlier agenda item, and then this
Yeah.
particular one, instead of being the 400, it could be the 600.
like, to my knowledge, so long as the increase, the change in policy doesn't require a bylaw.
Yeah.
Then it's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't require a bylaw.
Okay, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think.
I think that would,
Just
I
as-
think that would work. And would that seek what you said the competition is in November?
Yeah, November 1st to 9th, so that would still give them time.
That was still enough time to, yeah.
And then you'll bring the next agenda items up to, or the next approvals to another agenda. That's for city, we're looking at the reserve fund and that sort of thing, so you research that and bring that to a different.
I would get it all rolled in for the 14th.
Okay, so
Yeah,
everything.
so I
would be
try to
done.
get everything done for the
Okay.
14th, and then that way it would all be done in one.
One done, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That works okay for you?
Yeah, I think that should be
Well, it's up to
fine,
you.
I think.
It's a good suggestion. It's a good suggestion.
I consider it a suggestion, and I think from a process standpoint, it would be fine to get them both approved at the same agenda
Yeah,
meeting,
okay.
and then I would just double check with Rachel on the wording in the event that it's not approved, they're still eligible for the $400 as
Yeah, yeah.
per the other policy, just in case.
Yes, which would be so.
Yeah.
So can we recommend that if we can, we'll approve the increased amount, but nonetheless, we approve their application for either $400 or $600. Is that?
Did you want to just amend it to say everything, but in the amount of the maximum currently eligible as per the policy?
Yeah, that sounds good. That was just.
And then it's whatever happens with the policy doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So can I have someone move that? Aria, yes, and a seconder? Jonathan, all in favor? Okay, so resolved that the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee endorsed the application by curlers Charlotte Robert, Ellis McGinn, Chris Laboda, and Megan St. Amand to receive assistance to attend the 2025 Canadian Mixed Curling Championships from November 1st to 9th, 2025 in the amount or in the maximum amount currently eligible as per the policy. Okay. We had an agenda item added, 7.5, the flash vote. Aria, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, so in June, I believe, this flash vote was sent out by email to people who had previously signed up for it. I think I must have seen it online somewhere that you could sign up and have your say about different things that are going on in our city. So once you complete the flash vote results, you also get the results themselves after, which is pretty neat. So you get to see what other people say. So this one was specifically for Parks and Rec. So I just pulled some of the interesting data points because I wasn't sure if anyone knew that it was happening or kind of what happens with the data after. So there were 285 participants. And so they only asked 4 questions. The first one was in the last 12 months about how often have you or your household used the City of Sault Ste. Marie parks. So 26% said more than once a week and 29% said once a week to once a month. In the last 12 months, which of the following Sault Ste. Marie park amenities have you or your household used? So 38% said playgrounds, 31% said picnic areas and picnic pavilions. And then under other, there was 36% of people chose that one, and mostly they used that to type in using Bellevue Park or the walking trails. Which park amenities do you think Sault Ste. Marie parks need more of, if any? 60% of people said restrooms, 44% said shade structures, 39% said seating, 36% said picnic tables or barbecues, and then just a few other people could add their own option. The ones that I saw most often were garbage cans, amenities at the dog park, so water or shade structures there, concessions, pickleball courts, and splash pads. And which recreational features do you think are the most in need of improvements or upgrades in Sault Ste. Marie? 36% said playgrounds for children 6 and older, 31% said inclusive or accessible playgrounds, 21% said pickleball courts, 20% said playgrounds for children 2 to 5, and then under other, hockey rinks, and then general trail maintenance. And then at the end of the survey, you also can just write whatever you want. So I went through all of the responses there to kind of see what the most common themes were. Maintenance and safety were pretty common. Dealing with the goose and duck poop was up there. Dog parks, people would like more of them or the amenities for them. Soccer field maintenance was on there a few times, and then bathroom seating and shade. That was, I just thought that was interesting and we'll bring it just in case it was like, hey, it's very good.
Any questions or comments about that? Yeah, sure.
I'd like to add, like, amenities in Bellevue Park, like a cafe would be fantastic. That should be something part of the future plan of redevelopment.
Virginia, did you guys get these results, or do you know context of what this flash vote is and how it went out?
Nicole, do you want to jump in on flash vote a little bit?
Hi, sure. So Flashvote's a company that they do like a scientific survey. So it's with a smaller number of people, and they really try to filter out to get responses that are more as they word it, scientifically accurate. So we've engaged them, and we've done a couple different surveys. We've done one for transit, one for parking, one for parks, among other things, just to see the kind of data that we're getting that we could potentially use to help with decision making moving forward. Just another study to have to see what's important to people. Right? Them by, you know, some of the questions are, do you ever attend a park, right? So then we know, based on the people who responded, what percentage actually attended a park and which one didn't, right? So it kind of allows you to like filter things out to be able to target some of the responses that you get with people who actually use a park, or if, for example, they don't use a park and the reasons why, right? So it's just this company who takes a different approach to how surveys are put out and how the data is received and how you can filter it to try and give a little bit more of a targeted answer. So that's kind of how it all came out. And we decided to do one with parks just to get an overall feel of, you know, what are people thinking?
And so I guess 2 follow-up questions. How was recruitment organized? Like, how did that occur? Was it like through Facebook? Was it the website? And then the second part is, who's managing this data? Like, what's the plan for using this data? Is it just as data that's there, or is there an actual plan to utilize this information?
So was your first question, how did they get target audience, or?
Yeah, how did recruitment occur? What was the process for that?
So the company, I'd have to take a look back because I wasn't part of that piece. It was more a corporate communications department, but I think it was a public communication. I can't answer it 100%. I'd have to get back to you, but I'm not sure if they did.
So today, okay.
Okay, yeah, they must have done an advertising, whether it was a corporate communication press release or if it was some type of an advertising. I can't recall exactly because I wasn't part of that. But they reached out to the community at large, and then people signed up, right, who were interested, because then people who sign up for something typically are actually going to respond when they get the email notification on it, right, and have more of a vested interest as opposed to just a general survey, right? So that was that piece. And then the information is provided to the city and it lies with us, and we can use it to help, you know, determine as a piece of determining, you know, what kind of decisions are priorities for the public? Where do we need to, you know, put more potential funds into? Where do we need to repair? What are the community outlook for the future, so that we know what we can do and have it to be able to use this piece of a like planning piece moving forward, right? So it's not the end all and be all. What we're going to determine is just a small part of what we can refer to for any future initiatives.
Okay, perfect. So no major plans for the data right now, just helpful to have as a piece of the puzzle as we look at the bigger picture.
Exactly, yeah.
And just to add to what Nicole's saying, this would just be an additional layer on top of all the consultation that we did in 2024, leading into the update for the Parks and Rec master plan. So it's just kind of an extra layer.
Thank you both for answering my questions. Does anybody else?
Just have a question about the 2024 engagement with the community that was it took place in a couple of different locations, and as you know, I was, you know, there. I think it would be helpful to collect email addresses of the people who participate in those things, so that they can be we can get in touch with them to show them the results. I think that would improve citizen engagement if they actually felt that their voice was heard,
Right.
and that there was actionable things happening as a result of it. Because right now you go and you show up for some of these things and you don't hear anything. You don't.
The follow-up's kind of lost.
There is nothing, right? So I think that a mechanism to, you know, to give people the feedback that they themselves participate in would go a long way. So,
I mean, is it possible to have people sign up, and it could be optional, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you want further communication, if you're able, even just a thank you, and here's like the next steps, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, like I think if we do a feedback session.
Yeah.
Then we could collect information and then request if they would like future communications.
Yeah, it would be optional,
Like,
right?
you know,
Like,
do you want to receive future communications or updates?
Yeah.
So that's something when we do additional open houses that we could do a follow-up with and include that as part of the feedback forms.
yeah, and then if we had a more comprehensive database for the community at large, we could also just send out. Imagine if we had 5,000 people on a mailing list in the city, and then we could just engage them at any point in time by just sending out an email and getting responses. It would be really powerful.
I'll leave that, Virginia, for you to look into. Madly writing, so I think that that's a yes.
Taking notes.
Any other questions or comments about 7.5? Okay, moving on to item 8, correspondence. No additional correspondence, so we can move on to item 9, our next meeting, which is scheduled for October 7th. Same time, 4:30, and I believe, I don't know if, did we confirm that Travis is able to come to that meeting, Travis Sanderson, to talk about, we were going to invite him to talk about the waterfront development.
I'm pretty sure he can come, so we already did send out the invitation to Travis asking him to come. And I think he's good for that night.
Okay, so that is the tentative plan is that Travis come to present. Thank you, Graham, for the suggestion. Any questions about the next meeting? Okay, final agenda item, item 10, adjournment. Can I have a mover for adjournment? Councillor Dufour and a seconder, Aria. Everyone in favor? All right, so resolve that this kind of committee now adjourn.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Have a good night.